Thanks for rejoining. Welcome back to the AI and Intelligent Automation Live event. Our last speaker of the day is Manish Rai, and we're in for a bit of a treat. So Manish is Vice President of Product Marketing at Automation Anywhere, and he's a Silicon Valley veteran with more than 15 years of experience in marketing industry-leading technology solutions covering a great mix: cognitive, AI, RPA, and mobility. Manish is going to be speaking for about 30 minutes, or almost exactly 30 minutes, about leveraging AI, machine learning, and RPA to shine light on dark data. And what does that really mean? In more detail, ease of use of rapid ROI have made robotics a cornerstone of digital formation. However, 80% of enterprise data is dark data, information that is difficult to extract using robotics alone. And that's where cognitive platforms can bring structure to unstructured data, but often hampered by high costs and long deployment cycles. So Manish is going to be sort of teaching all of us about how purpose-built cognitive automation solutions can bring all of that together to deliver value. And then straight afterwards, one of Manish's colleagues, Ankesh, is going to be around live to answer about 10 minutes of Q&A before we wrap up for the day. So with no further ado, we're going to flick over to Manish, and hopefully you find the session valuable. Thanks.
Hello and welcome to the session leveraging AI, ML, and RPA to shine a light on dark data. My name is Manish Rai. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Automation Anywhere. And today, I'll be walking you through the automation challenge we feel. I'll be covering a Fortune 500 case study, a very exciting case study, which is leveraging the AI, machine learning, and RPA technologies from Automation Anywhere to automate the order-to-cash process. I will give you a quick overview of IQBot solution that you're using and some of the best practices for cognitive automation that we have learned over the course of working with hundreds of customers over the last few years regarding cognitive automation. So what is the big automation challenge, right? So if you look at the enterprise data, it's a very well-known fact that only 20% of the data is visible, and 80% or so of the data is invisible or dark data, hidden data. So RPA has taken off in the industry by storm in the last 4 years to automate the structured data. It's data that's in databases, in spreadsheets, in enterprise applications. However, there's a large amount of data that is included in documents such as invoices, purchase orders, mortgage applications. We call that the semi-structured data, and you often have a lot of people spending a significant amount of their time simply copying and pasting this data painstakingly into enterprise applications. And finally, you have a lot of unstructured data, images, emails, and videos. So when we looked at the cloud automation platforms, such as Google Cloud, IBM Watson, these platforms offer a great set of toolkits for machine learning and for speech-to-text analysis, for computer vision. However, these are solutions designed for programmers. You have to use APIs, you have to have familiarity with Perl, and you have to have APIs to connect with them. And so they can do a great job of recognizing images and categorizing images for going from speech to text. But they also have limited understanding of business processes within enterprise and exposure to documents such as invoices and the challenges of complicated nested tables that might exist in invoices. POs, in these cases, every vendor has a different format, and it's a very complicated problem that we've been trying to solve for the last 20 years, and we haven't solved it completely. And that's where initially the IQBot solution has been focused and shown tremendous results. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Fortune 500 case study. This company is headquartered in Sunnyvale, close to $6 billion in revenue and 10,000 employees. And they started their RPA journey in the middle of next year by exploring the different vendors out there. And from there, they evaluated over the Q3 periods various vendors. They did a pilot in Q4, and at the end of the year, they selected Automation Anywhere as their RPA partner. Next slide, please. So one of the first challenges they looked to that they were facing was around order to cash process. It was highly manual, and they had 50 plus full-time employees performing 16 different validations manually every time a purchase order came in, trying to match it against the quotes, making sure the vendor name and the address were correct and in the database, looking at the order amount and if it matched or what should have been there. So those were some of the challenges. And another challenge was the workload was highly variable. Like many B2B companies, they had a big spike at the end of Q2 when sales come in, and they had to onboard temporary workers to handle the volume, and the complexity was high. So next slide. So initially, they looked at solving the problem with RPA and an intelligent OCR solution. So they found some challenges with a very well-known intelligent OCR solution that they evaluated. Number one, it had high setup cost. For every customer they worked with, they had to set up a template in OCR to handle it because the order format is highly variable. So this solution was not leveraging AI to its fullest in terms of understanding the changes in formats very well. It was hard to troubleshoot. When things went wrong, it wasn't very transparent. The performance was inconsistent, and this struggled with the quality of support. So at that point, they brought in IQBot, next slide please, as an alternative and tried to compare the two solutions. And they were very pleased. Number one is how easy and how much faster IQBot was to set up. So when it was taking up to 4 hours to set up a new customer or vendor template, they found they could do that in much lesser time than an hour with IQBot. In fact, sometimes it took less than 15-20 minutes to set up those vendors. And they found that because of the speed, they were able to automate 20% of the PO processing volume in just a matter of 5 weeks. That was tremendous for them. And they're on track to automate 50% of the purchase order volume by the end of Q3. They have been able to generate in excess of 100% ROI in less than 3 months. So that's been tremendous for them. And finally, they found Automation Anywhere to be a great partners. Our teams worked with them as needed over the weekends, late hours to help them meet their launch deadlines. As IQBot was brought in as a last minute because they were struggling to meet their deadlines and roll it out in the timely manner with the previous vendor solution. Next slide, please. So where are they taking it from here? Their RPA journey starting in Q2, video in Q3, and the vendor selected by the end of Q4. And today, they have 10 bots in production, and they are looking to automate 50% of the order volume by the end of Q3. Now they're looking at the tremendous success they've had with cognitive automation, with IQBot. They're looking to expand not only for purchase orders, but they're looking at other areas such as invoices, other semi-structured data-centric processes, with a goal of getting to 100 bots in production by Q1. So this is not atypical of a journey that many of our customers who are choosing RPA and IQBot solution from Automation Anywhere. So let me, in the next few slides, walk you through the IQBot solution. Next slide, please. So what is IQBot? This slide has a number of animations, so we're going to go through them quickly. So rather than building a general purpose AI platform that you need to customize, which is what a lot of vendors provide, what we've done is we've identified specific business problems that our customers are facing, and we have selected a narrow set of AI capabilities that can help automate those business processes, those semi-structured data-based business processes. Those are invoices and purchase orders. Those are financial statements. Those are insurance claims processing, order status requests. And if you look at the next three animation, you'll see the technologies we have applied. We've taken the best and the latest advances in computer vision, the kind of technology that's being used in self-driving cars, and applied it to understanding invoices, purchase orders better than anyone else. We are applying the latest natural language processing to understand the content of these documents much deeper and better than any other solution, understanding what is a label, what is a value. Even when those fields are moving around, we can account for that. We are applying fuzzy logic to correct for common errors in either digitizing the document or account for human error in mistyping the address or the vendor name. We can account for those changes and adjust for that. And finally, when we have low confidence in the data we have extracted from a document, we put it through, if it falls below a threshold, IQBot puts through a split screen validation process. And during this split screen validation process, our machine learning learns from corrections made by human beings. It's constantly learning from humans to improve the results over time. And now that's not all. If you look at the next three animations, IQBot has the capability via our recently launched bot store to download bots that allow you to extend the capability of IQBot. Not only have we opened up the platform of IQBot to developers so they can add their expertise apply the expertise in specific business processes and provide you pre-trained bots to process those type of documents that only occur in, say, Brazil. Example being nota fiscal, GST in India, and we have added bots that help you leverage third-party AI platform capabilities, such as language translation from Google, sentiment analysis from IBM Watson, as well as chatbot capability from IBM or core.ai, and making it really easy to realize the full power of the cognitive automation spectrum by a combination of our RPA, IQBot, and the bot store platform. Next slide, please. So now let's look at what are the use cases where people are being very successful with IQBot. Nearly 10% of our customers today are engaged in various stages of rolling out IQBot. In fact, Q2 was our best quarter ever, and it's the fastest growing product line at Automation Anywhere. We did more business in Q2 than entire of 2017. And the reason people are excited and where they are investing first is nearly half of the engagements are around invoices and purchase orders. So in the order to cash and procure to pay processes. We have a number of other customers who are working on things such as utility bills, shipping notices, explanation of benefits. Companies in financial services who are looking to work with small businesses, and they have to understand various financial statements. There's in HR, people are using custom forms, W4s, 1040s, etc. And there are additional bots, pre-trained bots being added in our bot store constantly. And here are some of the examples of bots that have been developed by our partners, which include bank statements, Form 16 for India, and Nota Fiscal. So this our ecosystem is growing fast, and the use cases that the product can cover is growing extremely rapidly. So next slide. So what impact, in the next slide, we'll see what is the impact of cognitive automation on business process and why it's so successful. So when you look at a typical semi-structured database business process, this is what it looks like, the legacy. You have some people classifying you get some documents that are coming in via email or being uploaded into the system. Human beings look at them, classify them, and if you've implemented OCR, then classify and feed it to the right OCR template, and OCR tries to extract it. Then the failed documents are again validated by human beings and validated against the back office. And then you apply your logic approval workflow, and it's approved. The setup of OCR along the way is, or even intelligent OCR, that technology has been around for 30 years. And the technology has evolved, but I think the setup process is still very manual, and it hasn't evolved as fast as the progress we have had in AI in the last 10 years. As a result, people automate only the biggest volume. They don't attack the long tail of documents. They only go after the low-hanging fruit, and because of the high setup cost, they give up. And a small percentage of these processes have been automated to that. If you look at a cognitive automation process, it involves using RPA and IQBot in conjunction, where an RPA bot can automate the front-end work of extracting the document wherever it resides, be it as an attachment in email or in a file system, and then it can automatically feed it to IQBot to intelligently digitize the data by applying computer vision, and then based on the confidence level, when a document falls below a certain confidence level, you can feed it to a split screen validation process where machine learning learns from all the corrections being made by a human being, and your straight through processing keeps improving over time. And then the RPA bots can take the digitized information, can do three-way matches against the ERP systems, do all the 16 or 17 different validations you may have to be required, which you're doing manually, and then trigger the approval process, and can even approve them automatically for certain dollar volume when the validations are true, and escalate things above a threshold. The net result is much faster setup and tremendous ROI very quickly in a matter of weeks. So next slide, please. In this slide, just to give you in context why the setup time is so much faster with IQBot. So think about a large enterprise dealing with 1,000 vendors, generating millions of invoices every year. Each vendor requires a separate template. Each vendor needs to be added to a vendor database for intelligent OCR processing. And this is very manual. It takes typically 4 hours, and we are being generous. It can take longer. So think about setting up those 1,000 vendors. It's an hours and hours of painstaking work. IQBot shrinks this time by 90%. It does in two ways. First, we have intelligent, unsupervised learning-based AI capabilities to automatically cluster and group similar documents together. That means instead of having to do some setup for each individual vendor, you do setup for a group of vendors, and maybe one bot we create for every 5 vendors. And second is, we cut down significantly. In less than an hour or two, you can set up the bot for these vendors because we pre-train these bots to recognize different fields, and all you have to do is validate that the bot is recognizing the fields correctly, and it cuts down the process. So auto mapping of fields and grouping of vendors into groups combined gives you 90% savings. Next slide, please. So how we do it, because if you just look at the 3 category of capabilities out there, basic OCR doesn't have much intelligence. It's recognizing each character at a time. That means you always have to validate, manually look at the data, because even if one piece of information is off, your information will be completely off. Intelligent OCRs have added some ability to classify, but typically you need to set up a template for each vendor. They have evolved the digitization capabilities, but they're not using true computer vision, the latest in AI. And they have some limited learning capabilities. As opposed to that, IQBot is a modern cognitive automation platform. It uses the latest in computer vision to really digitize data and really understand the structure and extract the information much more accurately than any solution in the market. It enriches that data with fuzzy logic and then continuously improves using machine learning. In the next slide, you'll see what the impact of machine learning is. The impact of machine learning is your end-to-end automation or your straight-through processing rates are not static. Over time, your automation rates keep going up and your validation costs keep going down because fewer and fewer documents need to be validated. So moving on, let's now look at how the product actually does that. The step one is you create, to use IQBot, is you create a learning instance. And inside IQBot, we have pre-trained domains, or domains are areas of expertise, business processes that we really understand, and the document structures IQBot has a good understanding of. These are invoices, purchase orders, billing statements, so on and so forth. So in the next slide, you see when you pick the various domains we select and the languages, we support over 25 different languages, and we provide limited support for even today for Japanese, Chinese, and we just added with 5.3 version those supports. So in the next slide, you see what we mean by understanding a domain. When you come, here's a screen that comes up when you pick a domain, say invoice. So we already understand the common fields used in invoices, and you can check off the ones you want to extract. You can add custom fields. And in the next slide, you see the next step is you feed it training data. And it's very important. The AI is data hungry. So if you can provide a good variety of layouts, the AI performance improves. So we recommend providing several hundred, if not close to 1,000 documents during the training process. And as you can see, this whole tool is designed for business users. Nowhere in the process do you need data scientists or programmers to set this up. The next slide, please. So once we do give a lot of data, what we do is we cluster and group similar documents, and then you train those documents. So in the next slide, you see during training, we have auto-mapped these fields automatically. We understand this is the invoice label, and below it is the invoice number, date, and so on and so forth automatically. And simply during the training process, you validate and make some adjustments as needed. And in the next slide, with that, you are done. And now you can push IQBot to production. You can start feeding it documents and monitoring throughput. And whenever the document that we process, we find is below a certain threshold or confidence, we put it in split screen validation. And with the corrections made over time, we can start suggesting corrections and automate that process entirely to give you continuously improve your straight through processing and automation rates. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, IQBot is a cognitive automation solution. It is purpose-built for business process automation. It can be deployed in the cloud or on premise, and you don't need a massive machine to run it. It can run on an 8 or 16 core processor. You don't have to be a data scientist or a programmer to use the tool. It's designed for business users to automate those processes. Next slide. So finally, I wanted to share a few of the best practices that we have recognized after working with hundreds and hundreds of proof of concepts with a customer. Step one is identifying a high impact, high ROI process where typically where you have a good variety in documents and it's hard to automate. And we have found a great place to start is in order to cash, procure to pay process. That's where we tend to find a lot of low-hanging fruit. And it's important that you don't take an overly complex process. Sometimes people think AI can do wonders, and they pick the most complex process they want to solve. And that's when I think a lot of these projects get stalled. When you pick overly complex, you want to find something that has high ROI, but still proven and doable to get the quick win before you expand. Second is take that, build a business case. And third is having executive sponsorship, getting senior leadership buy-in, having that champion from day one who's behind the project. And then fourth point we found is, like I mentioned, AI is data hungry. So during setup, it's very important to get a good representative data set, find a lot of variety of the types of documents that are there, so AI can be trained additionally. And you'll find if you follow these steps, you can get very quick ROI, quick wins, and within a matter of weeks, you can demonstrate value and ROI to your leadership. And then from there, I think you'll get all the support you needed from everyone to move on to additional processes. So hope that session was valuable for you. And you can always reach us through our website. We encourage you to go visit the IQBot section on the website and reach out to us for demo if you would like to learn more. So with that, I'd like to conclude today's session. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Manish. That was great from my perspective. Hopefully, all the participants on listening found that valuable. I think for sort of me, that was a really kind of practical, high value, focused presentation. A great use case there, and also, you know, the fact that kind of what Manish was talking about involved the joining together of multiple different technologies to sort of deliver kind of maximum value is really arguably what intelligent automation is all about, choosing the right automation tools for the right jobs. So we've got a few questions, and in the sort of 10 minutes or so we've got left before we sort of close out, I'm very pleased to have Ankesh, one of Manish's colleagues from Automation Anywhere, on the phone. So hi Ankesh, how are you?
Hey Andrew, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So that was great, and nice work by Automation Anywhere. So it'd be good for you to just kind of share a bit more specifics around the technologies used for sort of IQBot. Clearly, we saw some of it in the presentation. Do you have do you want to kind of summarize or share your own perspectives on the different technologies that are being deployed there?
Yeah, sure. So when we are building this IQBot technology and the platform, we use the same principles of AI, including neural networks, machine learning, sentiment analysis, NLP, contextual awareness, and all. And we also use convolutional neural networks, and we integrate with Abby, we integrate with Google Trust Act, and IBM Watson.
Okay, fantastic. Clearly, individually, each of those technologies are pretty powerful, understating, but it's a great articulation of the sort of incremental value when you combine all of them together. That's fantastic. Great, clear answer. Thanks. When it comes to cognitive automation implementation, what do you think are the sort of biggest obstacles to success, based on your experience?
So if you see the slide, which is the last slide, which Manish presented, the best practices, and the most important thing, choose the right process, because there's a common mistake which we have seen the customers do, and in the POC stage only. If they choose the wrong process, then the entire initiative goes for a toss. So to choose the right process is very, very important, especially in the cognitive space. Go for that, which is more in the structured, semi-structured, basically, and don't go for the handwritten per se, because if you go for a handwritten document, there are very, very few technologies in the world who can literally go for the higher STP for that. So go for the semi-structured one. And as Manish mentioned about the low-hanging fruit is the invoice processing, you should go for that. And in terms of the platform which you look for when people fail is about the scaling of it, because as we know that a lot of data is getting come up, tons of data. So you should have a platform which can scale in an exponential way whenever you have a spike in your demands. So these are a few things which people, the process part and the scale part, where people fail.
Yeah, okay, I completely agree with you. Picking the right process is critical. Okay, another question just come in. Is it better to join bespoke speech recognition and natural language processing platforms together, or are separate solutions easier to manage? So I think the point here is, do you take the best in breed for each of the technologies that you're wanting to use, or is it just about kind of having all of those capabilities in one product? I think I may know the answer given your point of view to the first question.
So what we have seen from a customer's benefit side, that it depends on the customer's requirement also, because all of them have a unique challenge, unique processes, and it depends on from where they are getting the output. So some of the cases they go for the individual one, because you have to go for one particular, I would say the thought process here is that no solution can do everything. For example, like if someone says, okay, Google's AI. So Google's AI is like the mind of a gamer. Okay. If you go for IBM Watson, is a mind of a professor. And if you go for automation anywhere, IQ bot is a mind of a sophisticated office worker. So all three have different objectives. So if you tell, okay, we have to go with one particular product and solve all the problems, that's not the right way. So you have to look at what is the problem and what is the objective and what is the the entire solution you're looking for. Because if you go for one particular product and if you're trying to do all the things with it, it might not be the right case. It depends on the customer use case, whether you go for one or you go for multiple.
Yeah, okay, great answer. Thank you. And again, to the sort of the participants, reinforces what intelligent automation is all about. Potentially joining two or more different technologies together that are individually powerful to kind of deliver even more value. I think there's two more questions, and then we'll wrap up today. So another one for you, Ankesh. Do Automation Anywhere have any use cases specific for healthcare?
So in the healthcare, what we have seen, so that there are two objectives. One is that to do the process specifics of processes which are like FNA process or any other processes. But for the vertical specific, yes, we have done that. And especially in the drug safety area, we have done quite a good work with a lot of European giants in pharma and the healthcare space. And those are like the drug safety is one of the prominent area which I can come on the top of the mind.
Yeah, okay. That's great. And obviously for those participating, if you'd like to follow up with Automation Anywhere specifically, you can obviously do that, and they'll have material in the sort of online in the sort of event in the event portal. Okay, last question for you, Ankesh.
Yep.
In your experience, or Automation Anywhere's experience more broadly, are organizations coping with dark data, to use one of the phrases in that presentation, well, or even aware of the sheer extent of the volume of unstructured data in their organizations?
So, yeah, it's a very good question actually, because this particular area is not growing because, as we know that there's so much of data which is getting produced every day, and people are not even aware about that how to tackle the entire, I would say the exponential rise in this data. So now companies are aware about that that something is happening, but they're not sure that how to tackle with it, and that's why the solutions, the cognitive solutions, are getting so much of traction, because to handle that amount of data you need a lot of people, and which is not possible. Especially, for example, like I would say the Japanese market. The issue in Japanese market is very different because the population is aging, and there's very less people who can handle the amount of data there. That's why automation is playing a big role there. But in terms of other countries, it would say that the talent is an issue, and they have the manpower, but the manpower comes with a lot of cost also. So cost is a driving factor in those regions.
Yeah.
So they are aware about the fact, but they are looking for the right solutions who can handle that. But they know that this is like an iceberg. The picture what Manish showed is literally an iceberg.
Yeah, I was a great answer, and if I may, I'll just sort of add in my own perspective. So, with a couple of partnerships that EY has in the Asia Pacific region, in their operational processing areas, the amount I've seen firsthand, the sheer volume of unstructured data that basically people are having to manage, and in one organisation I'm referring to in particular, that volume is going up and up and up and up and up, and it's an operational challenge for them at a number of fronts. Customer experience in terms of being able to kind of respond to that unstructured data in the kind of within the speed that customers increasingly expect. Efficiency and sort of productivity kind of considerations, and also sort of managing risk and sort of control around all of it. So yeah, it's a big challenge, and hence the rapidly increasing focus on some of the technologies that can help deal with that. Look, so Ankesh, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining. So hopefully you found that session from Manish and Ankesh useful. Just reiterating, you can reach out to Automation Anywhere by their booth in the exhibition hall, where you can access reports, white papers, and case studies for your swag bag. So in just the last couple of minutes, thought I would sort of recap quickly on some of the key takeaways to today's sessions. So the first session, for those of you that joined, we heard from Yuval from Google, and really that's sort of where it's a very human-centric view of the world and how the brain works, and how machine and human intelligence together can sort of unlock significant value. You obviously heard from myself and one of my colleagues in Hong Kong, and also HSBC's APAC CIO for retail banking, Dr. Chen, talking around, again, sort of quite human-centric around sort of automating intelligence. I think we've got some great insights from what HSBC, which is a very large organisation, global organisation, what they're up to. Thirdly, we heard from Sudhir from Jiffy RPA, focused on shifting to AI, a bit of a sort of common thread today. And also, finally, we heard from Manish and also Ankesh from Automation Anywhere about combining AI, machine learning, and RPA to unlock significant value, including kind of dealing with some data challenges. So again, sort of common theme, and so intelligent automation overall, again, sort of potentially choosing the right technologies for the right jobs, and sometimes multiple technologies for the sort of right job is a very sort of white hot sort of area, sort of with many organisations today. If you missed any of the sessions, don't worry, you can log back into the event and head to the auditorium to watch any of the sessions on demand. They'll all be in there, including those tomorrow. Just a summary of kind of what's going on tomorrow. So we'll be starting at 9:30 AM Singapore, Hong Kong time. The first session, which sounds really good, is focused on future trends around AI, watch for as the future workplace, ethics and machines massively converge. Again, a very hot topic. That'll be led by Lorinda Lisa Coleman, who's a digital trend analyst, author, and speaker, and an expert in looking at the sort of forward-looking impact of disruptive technologies, and she contributes regularly to CNBC and Forbes. And then following Lauren's presentation, 3 more presentations, which hopefully you find valuable. So a really kind of good session on robotics in finance accounting, separating fact from fiction with Blackline at 11 o'clock. Industrializing tracking your automation program through a balanced scorecard with EdgeVerve. And finally, embracing intelligent automation. So again, the consistent theme of these 2 days, sort of step change towards smarter operations with Hexaware BPS are going to be running that session. So I'm not going to be chairing tomorrow. I've really enjoyed today. Great sessions. For those of you that are implementing intelligent automation in your organizations, good luck. Please reach out to EY, Automation Anywhere, Jiffy RPA, or any of the other organizations that are part of this event. And that's a wrap. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening. Thank you.